Welcome back to the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I'm doing Jakobs Shotgun. This is actually take 2. I was fucking around with some people with voice effects, and I had an elderly filter on, and I forgot to turn it off, and I recorded this whole thing with the elderly voice. So, yeah, that's kind of stupid by me. But anyways, I'm back to talk about these, and I guess full disclosure, Jakobs Shotguns are some of my absolute favorite guns in the Borderlands franchise. So I might be a little biased in this video, but I'm going to try to be objective and admit my hypocrisies when they happen. So, Jakobs shotguns have actually quite a bit going for them. Because they're Jakobs, they just have overall increased damage per pellet. You have kind of high accuracy on Jakobs shotguns compared to a lot of them. They have the fastest fire rate of all shotguns, but it is as fast as you can pull the trigger. They have pretty solid reload speed for shotguns. I think the fastest reload speed, maybe Teeter has faster, but really fast reload speed, and the smallest magazines. So Jakobs, when you get past the single barrels, when you get to the double barrels or single shots, the single barrels are often 2 to 3 shots. And depending on parts, the double, triple, and quadruple barrels can be single shots if you get TD grips. So that's the drawback. They have incredibly high burst damage, but there's more than just that. You actually have increased pellet count, which is really cool. So right here I have the barbed coach gun. If you compare that to a Hyperion Jakobs barrel, you go from 10 pellets to 13. And also the Hyperion has the highest accuracy, but you see this is pretty close. And you also see that difference in magazine size. So that's Jakobs shotguns almost in a nutshell. And I almost forgot to mention they have a 15% type B critical hit damage, which all your critical hit bonuses get multiplied by that, which makes them extra cool. So increased damage, which is significant, increased pellet count, solid accuracy, fast reload, but you're reloading often. So they are kind of the ultimate in burst damage. They're not DPS machines because you're reloading so often, but with burst damage, they kind of are king. I had that on to test something else, so I'll remove that. So no skill, no bar, just naked guns. And for you, those of you out there that did not watch my Borderlands 2 videos of this and just watch my pre-sequel, I have blades on these so that they do not affect the stats in any way, shape, or form. That's why I have that accessory. Some guns cannot spawn without accessory, so I just put blades on them. So, getting into the guns, I'm going to start with the Flare and move on to the Striker next because the Striker is not new and interesting. The Flare, which has a pretty beautiful skin. I absolutely love this. I think the gun looks great. Some people don't care about the cosmetics. Some people do. This one really nails it. It just has an awesome looking design on it. Especially that barrel detail. Looks pretty fantastic in my mind. Stat-wise, the Flare has an increased pellet count, which is awesome. Increased accuracy. And although you're going from 50.7 to 52.7, there's more to it because with this you add 2 pellets. Usually when you add pellets, accuracy goes down. And that even goes to show what I was talking about before. Didn't mean to switch those. The difference here with accuracy at 50 to 60 isn't even that big of a deal because you get 3 more pellets. But the Flare, 15 pellets with 52% accuracy is pretty incredible. And then the big one on this is the magazine size, which turns it from a 2-shot to a 5-shot. And now you're talking both burst and sustained DPS. That is cool. Now, I know I'm a bit of a hypocrite here, just all drooling on the Flare, and you probably see me use it in a ton of videos. I have 3 builds based around it in the pre-sequel. It is my favorite gun in the pre-sequel, because the Coach gun is my favorite of the Jakobs shotguns, And Jacob shotguns are some of my favorite guns in the entire franchise, so I am going to love the shit out of this gun. That being said, I've stated in the past, I think it's kind of boring when you just increase stats without doing anything interesting to the gun. At least with this one, it wasn't just one big stat like the Rosie, let's just really boost its continuous damage, or even the Lady Fist, let's just throw a bunch of critical hit damage at it. This one, extra pellets, extra accuracy, and extra mag size. It's a little more interesting because they didn't just like boost the damage, and they kind of did with 2 pellets, but they did it in kind of an interesting way. Maybe I'm exaggerating that, but this gun is an absolute killer because of all those things combined. Now, I know I had this Hyperion one. Just think about this. You're going from 10 pellets to 15, still only using 2 ammo per shot. Now, I have a quad in my backpack here to compare to the Moonface later. Quads, I know this is a blue. A purple one would be a better example to compare it to, but quads have 18 pellets for 4 ammo per shot. This has 15 pellets for 2 ammo per shot. That's a big deal. Because quads, they hit like a ton of bricks, but they have terrible accuracy. As you can see, that 18% accuracy with 18 pellets. The purple would be slightly better, but still not great. To have this kind of accuracy with this many pellets for 2 ammo, that's a big deal. Because when you have 4 ammo per shot, you almost have to use the gun as a utility gun. At least that's the way I word it. People might have a better wording for it. The reason I call it a utility gun, you can't have it as your main source of damage, because you will just run out of ammo. But this, that's not a bad spread there. This thing, you can use as your main source of damage, because you can live with that 2 damage per shot. So right there you saw I landed a lot at 179. So when you hit a lot of crits, there's a 105. With guns like this, 129. You kind of got to determine, if you aim a little bit low, sometimes you'll still hit enough on crits to do good. But if you aim high, you might miss a lot of pellets. But there it did 141. So you can see this thing kicks a ton of damage out. It does it fairly ammo efficiently and fairly accurately. Now, half the characters more in this game can drastically increase accuracy, which makes this even more scary. Misha has accuracy bonuses. Aurelia and Jack all have big accuracy bonuses. I think Wilhelm might have a little bit. I'm sorry, I don't really play Wilhelm a lot, so if you guys are big Wilhelm fans, I'm not shitting on him. I don't think he sucks. He just never really grabbed me, so I'm not the most familiar with his skill set. Full disclosure, just admitting that. But when you can even tighten this up more, it just does ridiculous damage. And if you can increase the mag size even more, which most characters can, it's even more crazy. So this is a ridiculously powerful, amazing gun that I'm absolutely in love with. Now the Striker, this one I should talk for less on. The Striker here is a Hyperion barrel shotgun, so single barrel. But again, compared to the Hyperion shotgun here, you have 3 less pellets for half the ammo and more damage per pellet. And that's pretty cool. So the Striker, compared to its counterpart, you see same damage, increased accuracy, which is a big deal. 1 more in the mag, which is pretty nice. You see that 72% critical hit. Now, I mentioned Jakobs have a type B. So their cards kind of don't show critical hit damage 100% right. What this actually has is a 50% type A bonus and a 15% type B. Now, if you put a dox prefix on this, it gets more accurate, and then it adds another 50% type A to go up to 100% type A critical hit bonus. Now, you saw me shooting the flare at the dummy there. Now, this thing puts out a ton of damage when you land crits. Now, if you don't land as many crits, it's still not terrible. But this thing, especially on that first shot. Now, second shot, you're gonna... Oh, there, I did 3 in a row with massive damage. You gotta let the recoil come back. But this thing can put out a ridiculous amount of damage if you care enough to aim at crits. And it does it very effectively. That kind of damage for one bullet is pretty damn spectacular. Now, you don't see me running around with this as much as the flare, because the flare is a lot more forgiving, and it's not that realistic to land 100% crits all the time. But you can see, at close range here, that's a damn impressive spread. Alright, so let's see. And that's tighter of a spread than a lot of pistols give you. Now, if I spam it as fast as I can... That was a bad example, because that wall was already shot up. But that's still not even terrible. This thing is pretty damn insanely good. There's not much more to say about it. I already kind of covered it in the Borderlands 2. But if you are good at hitting crits, this thing is hard to beat. Now, I will swap out some guns to start covering the blue guns. Actually, I'm going to save that till last, because we have 2 Jakobs barrels here that I'm going to kind of cover in tandem. And you get off. Okay. So there's the Boomacorn and 2 scoops. I'm going to start with the Boomacorn because I think it'll be a little bit faster. It's a little more simple. Why did I do that? Let me go back and grab that back. Okay. The Boomacorn, which is our Butt Stallion gun, which I think is pretty fantastic. You see our Butt Stallion logo there and all pretty colors. This gun was a shift reward. And you currently can't farm it if you did not use that shift code. And I have that shift code in one of my videos. I will link if you want to go check that out. I don't know if it's still active or not. This gun, compared to its purple counterpart, it's parts lock, so I can't have a blade on it. You have reduced pellet counts, but you have almost double damage per pellet, which is pretty sweet. Helps make up for the drop there. Increased accuracy, but you'd expect that with a drop in pellets. And then it's a single shot. Now, this thing is kind of interesting because it does not shoot bullets, it shoots rockets. Which generally I'm not a fan of, because that means you can't crit. But this thing, as you see me shooting at the wall here, shoots random elements. So those 5 pellets can be any element, including explosive. So cryo, fire, shock, corrosive, or explosive. And it just puts out a ton of damage. And look at all those Ks there. That's a ridiculous amount of damage. Now that one I did get a lot of fire, but still here, look at all that damage back there. I mean, it's grouped up so tight it's kind of hard to see it all, but it does a ton. Now, he is sitting against a board, which makes the damage on this better than it should be. Typically, if you shoot straight at an enemy, this is not that impressive, but when you shoot at their feet... Now, his feet are off the ground, so again, not a great example. But typically, with enemies, you shoot at their feet, and it's a one-shot killing machine. And at first I thought, the fact that it's random elements might hurt you because you might not get the right elements, but the splash radius, the splash damage, this thing just absolutely murders. And you can see it's got a pretty big radius there. You just do that right at an enemy's feet, and it does really well. And as you're hearing too, it neighs when you shoot it because it's the Butt Stallion gun, which is fucking brilliant. So this thing is an incredible winner in my book. Because A, it's interesting, and I keep going to that. Borderlands is not Call of Duty. Borderlands is not Battlefield. Or, what's the other one? Battlefront. I know Battlefront Star Wars, it should be more interesting, but Battlefront's guns, it has 11 guns in the fucking game. In late 2015, almost 2016, a game comes out, a shooter, with 11 guns, and most of them are within like an inch of each other. Why Borderlands keeps me playing it is because there are not only so many guns, but such different guns. I mentioned Jakobs shotguns are my favorite guns. Just the shotgun barrels in the shotguns changes the shotguns more than all the games in Battlefront, or guns in Battlefront. So when Gearbox can produce a gun that is this interesting and effective and funny, what more can you ask for? I mean, this is brilliant game design in my mind. Sorry, I'm incredibly excited preaching here. But so few games do this. I see so many shooters, and it's just, hey, look at the same guns. Pew, pew, pew. Boring. I've seen that. I've played those since GoldenEye. I've mentioned that in a few videos going back to GoldenEye or Doom or Wolfenstein. Like, I want interesting guns, unique guns, guns that make me think a little bit. And the Boomacorn's like the perfect example of all of this. It's an effective gun that you kind of have to shoot a little differently, but hitting their feet. But it shoots random elements. It makes a funny noise. It's got a pretty skin on it. And it's just different, but it's effective. And that's really all you can ask for. Sadly, the next gun is kind of the polar opposite. It's interesting and kind of ineffective. And I hate to admit it because I fucking love this gun. The 2 scoops. The 2 scoops, cool looking skin. If I zoom in here, you can see ice cream. 2 scoops of ice cream. Pretty awesome, right? I like the color scheme on it. It's got locked parts, so you can't get a bad version. It's a quest reward. That's kind of cool. Now, I'm going to go over here and shoot it so you can really see it. So, I'm going to pause here. You see these 2 kind of balls I'm circling? Yep, balls. That's for you, Katie. I don't even think you watch my videos anymore. But here's 2 balls that it shoots out. These are rockets. So this is another, like the Boomacorn, shoots rockets. Now, all this ice around here, this isn't just kind of muzzle flare, because you can see there's a bunch of ice around there. These rockets kind of have an aura around them. And that aura can do splash damage and cause dot. And this gun, although it doesn't have a chance to cause dot listed, it's insanely high. It's probably one of the highest chances to cause dot in the entire game. And I know that characters can get this up to 100%, even though I haven't seen a number. Kind of like the slow hand in Borderlands 2 with the so few pellets and really high chance. This is kind of like that. So when it stops there, those are shotgun shards. So this shoots both rockets and shotguns. And that's where this gets interesting. Now, these rockets cannot actually hit enemies. They explode after a set distance. And when they explode at that set distance, they kind of explode, and this movement I'm making with my mouse, kind of like poorly drawn boobs by a 2-year-old or a very immature man my age, so that they kind of touch in the middle, and it covers a large area to really freeze a bunch of enemies. So as a cryo tool, very effective. As a gun to shoot things with, not so much. There you can kind of see that explosion. So the rockets will just pass through enemies. So if you shoot this right at an enemy and expect to do anything, you're not going to do anything. Let me go over here and shoot it again. So maybe this room is a little more open so you can see that. There we go. So you see that's a pretty big area of effect. And those didn't hit a wall. Now if I shoot just the floor, you can see it's still a pretty big explosion size. So it's got a really nice splash radius on it. But the problem is damage. So I'm going to kind of shoot around these guys. So you can see it there, doing damage to the guy. Actually, both of them. And the second one caught a dot. They both caught a dot there without actually getting hit by it. That's cool. So now if I shoot it more at his feet, you can see he's getting that aura damage, and then you see that the shotgun shard damage at that 13,000, which is higher than the card listed damage, which is weird. So this thing's all sorts of weird. It's just odd. But great cryo tool, great kind of crowd control tool. You can hit a ton of enemies with it, but the damage just blows. You can't really kill with it. If you really work at it, you can kill with it. If you really up your base damage enough to the point where you're hitting so many enemies in an area that you kill them with it, or you can specialize with the claptrap with like one last thing, 1-2 boom, maniacal laughter, and it's got great synergy with a lot of claptrap skills. If Athena gets Maelstrom up high enough, it can be a really big killer. But if you get your Maelstrom up that high, everything's pretty much better than this. Although the area of effect of this with that high damage really kind of does special things. But it's really hard to manage. I have a build kind of based around that. I haven't really done a video of it yet. You have to play it all the time. It's hard to make it work. But I guess you might be able to really do some things with this in Aurelia with all of her cryo damage when you get those up there, because it hits this big area of effect. But it's a hard gun to use and make more than just a cryo tool. And that's kind of sad a little bit. I just wish they gave it enough damage so it could be more than just a cryo tool, because not many people use it as a cryo tool, because there are so many good cryo tools in the game. The Phrygia is just probably a better cryo tool than this, because you've got regular bullet speed and everything. So it kind of falls flat. It's interesting like the Boomacorn, but it's not really effective, and it makes me sad to say that because I really love this gun. I want it to be awesome, but it is what it is. So, lastly, we have the Moonface. The Moonface is kind of a disappointment to me as well. It's a weird gun. So, let me grab this out and grab the quad variant, which is here. So, the Moonface, which kind of a cool fitting skin. It kind of looks like a moon surface. The Moonface, stat-wise, has lowered pellet count by a lot, but it only takes 1 ammo per shot instead of 4. Increased accuracy, increased fire rate, which you're not going to hit, longer reload, and a lower magazine size, but it's kind of a bigger mag, because a quad is going to be a 2-shot. This is a 3-shot. So it's actually an increased mag, even though it's a lowered mag. So this thing shoots at 7 pellet. That's not the Moonface. This thing, let me find a fresh wall to shoot, since I've shot all those up. Shoots a smiley face. Now, this is kind of cool, but I don't really love it. And I'm going to show you why. So that's 7 pellets, right? That's about the same spread as a flare. I know I didn't really line those up the best. And the flare's got 15 pellets. The Moonface has got 7. And that's kind of sad. And actually, the further you get away, I think the flare actually starts to get tighter. You can see there. The flare actually has, well, it's about the same width, so it keeps about the same spread. And that's what kind of makes me sad about this. Also, when you shoot it here, if you watch the pellets, they have the wave pattern. And if you guys watch my Borderlands 2 stuff, I hate the wave pattern. Now, what really kind of wrecks this for me is... good sir, shoot again. Now, if you look at an enemy body there, you're going to be lucky to... If you crit, you only have that really top 2 to crit. And if you crit with the bottom ones, you miss your top ones. And the spread wide of them, you're never going to crit with really more than 2 pellets. And with these kind of going wide, you often miss a lot of the pellets. And you don't have a great chance of landing all 7 outside of point-blank range. And I know it's a quad barrel, but with only 7 pellets, it should be better than that. And you can see here, you're not getting any Ks at all. And that's decent damage when you add it all up, but it's not really that great. You see there, I aim right at his head, and the wave pattern made him go above. So with this, you kind of got to aim low, making it really unreliable to crit with. And as I covered before, the critical hits are one of the biggest bonuses to Jakobs shotguns. And this loses that. Now, you do have that splash damage, which is 50%, which is cool, and that adds to it. But if they just made it shoot straight, it would have been way better. 'Cause this is almost, stat-wise, more in line with a Hyperion barrel. With your accuracy, fire rate, magazine size, pellet count. But it's not quite Hyperion accuracy. And that wave pattern just kind of ruins it for me. Now, if you cryo enemies, you can get more out of this because you get the extra damage on the splash. But in my experience, I've just done more damage and been more effective with just like a coach gun than this. And I know it's a weird comparison because why am I comparing it to a coach gun? It's a double barrel. This is a quad, but it's not really a quad. I just don't find this gun that effective. Gearbox made an interesting gun with this, and I keep, going back to the interesting. So well done on that. It's not like 2 scoops bad. This thing is effective. You can kill with it. It's not bad. It's just not what I hoped it was. Just not quite there. And part of the reason is I just don't land enough pellets with it. And yeah, that's the Moonface. So that's Jakobs guns in a nutshell. Flare, really kind of cool. Not the most interesting, but incredibly powerful gun. Striker, we've seen it before. It's still damn good. Boomacorn, fucking amazing. 2 scoops, great cryo tool, nothing more than that. And the Moonface is a pretty solid shotgun. So that is the Jakobs shotguns, good, the bad, and the ugly. One probably went a little long this episode, so I'll just wrap it up and say thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and I will go test these and see how they all work. Thanks for watching. Bye.